And we welcome you into our Newsmax Now Roundtable, and joining us now is radio host and Newsmax contributor Larry Elder, also joining us talk show host and political commentator Lisa Durden. We thank you both very much for being here with us today.
Sunday marked the one-year anniversary of Ferguson, where 18-year-old Michael Brown was killed by former police officer Darren Wilson. Take a listen.
This is Ferguson.
It's a year later and the unrest is back.
Frustrations haven't faded in Ferguson.
Ferguson's still pretty much in limbo.
Shots fired overnight in Ferguson, Missouri, turning a peaceful day of protests into a stark reminder of the terrible events of a year ago.
What's left to protest?
So as we just heard there, Ferguson still remains in turmoil. So some are asking, what's left to protest? Lisa, let's start with you.
Well, there's still more to protest because, unfortunately, Ferguson was not the first nor the last incident where we have had racial unrest between the police and Black Americans in the street. As we know, Sandra died in prison. We don't know if she killed herself. So this is happening all over the country. However, I was not happy to hear that when they had this one-year anniversary march, that there was going to be this kind of violence by, you know, one or two idiots. That always happens. It was a very peaceful situation, and there were no incidents until this one situation took place. And I got to tell you, I was mortified. I fell to the floor. I couldn't believe it was going on. But I don't mean to make excuses, but I feel like if there was never a Ferguson to begin with, if there was never a Michael Brown incident, there would never have been a today. There wouldn't have been a year later. There would be no anniversary of any of that. So I do look at historically why these kinds of things never end well. Racism is not good for anybody. It all ends badly for everyone. There are no winners ever. So
Lisa,
we shouldn't have had to have
You bring up history, and I want to go into something that Representative Emanuel Cleaver said on MSNBC's Morning Joe this morning. We have his quote. He said, "I tell people that Ferguson a year ago was 1955. Today it's 1965. So there's been change. It means, though, we are a long way from getting Ferguson into a state where it is part of the 21st century. It's coming, but it's coming slowly." Larry,
unfortunately.
Larry, let me ask you, is that an accurate depiction? Are we in
I haven't
1965?
seen this massive kind of lack of critical thinking since the O.J. Simpson case. This is nonsense. Police shootings against blacks are down 75% over 30 years. And have we forgotten that both the DOJ and the grand jury exonerated Officer Darren Wilson?
Thank you.
Michael Brown did not have his hands up. He was not running away. This is a bunch of nonsense. And crime has gone up because cops have pulled back. Bad guys know that. So the very same people that these protesters claim that they care about in Baltimore, in New York, in Chicago, in Philadelphia, has seen crime go up.
Well, I want to also point, guys, to... Well, hold on one second, Lisa, because I want to talk about a new Pew poll that highlights what Larry was just saying there. 53% of whites and 86% of blacks feel there is more that can be done about racism in America. Both of these numbers are up from 2014. There are only 39% of whites and 78% of blacks believe that racism was an issue in 2014. Larry mentioned all that stuff about the Michael Brown case, which actually sparked this Black Lives Matter movement. But it seems that is just the facade to all this. Obviously, there are racial issues that remain. But where does the Black Lives Matter movement go from this? Because they're not getting their point across, obviously.
That's the issue. When racism is on board, the waters get murky. Once you have a bunch of cops killing a bunch of black men and women, and wrongfully so, we can't now tell the bad guys from the good guys.
The statistics don't bear that out.
What bunch of white cops are killing a bunch of black men?
If we did not have the rabid murders of innocent black people, we would be able to decipher
more whites get killed by cops than blacks do.
The bad guys and the good guys.
2.5 times as many whites get killed by cops than blacks do. It's nonsense. You're getting black people killed because cops are pulling back, and the black guys know that. Murders are up 20% in New York City. Baltimore has not seen this level of murders in 40 years. You think there's a connection between this and the nonsense that a lot of these activists are putting out? I certainly do.
It does seem, Larry, based on what you're saying, and that statistic is true. More whites are killed by police than blacks, but it's almost like the Black Lives Matter needs to go back to the drawing board and start over again because
this whole
movement...
The facts. The facts don't seem to matter to these people.
The whole movement was based on a false...
Why do we need to go back to the... why must we go back to the drawing board? Because you said so? I don't think so.
No, not because
Black
I said so,
Lives
Lisa,
Matter
because
is a
it's all
hashtag.
based on the
No, we don't
Michael
have to go
Brown
back to the
killing,
drawing board.
which was proven to be by the DOJ not racially motivated, and Darren Wilson has been acquitted, as Larry was quick to point out.
But we should also mention that
it wasn't racially motivated?
That's right. It wasn't racially motivated. What's your evidence that it was?
I
What is your evidence that Darren Wilson was trying to kill Michael Brown because Michael Brown is black? Where is your evidence of that?
Larry, go back to what both of you are saying. I think there's truth in what both of you are saying is that they did find racism to be an issue with that police department, but they did find
Miranda,
not in this particular case. And there are examples, guys, of
57% black.
You've got the football player down in Texas who was
black people.
I'll wait for Larry.
18-point gap. New York City, 25% of the population is black.
All right, Larry, Lisa, we're going to continue this conversation. We're running out of time right now. We're going to come back. Hold on to that thought. When we come back, we're going to have more discussion with our roundtable. And we'll all try not to talk all at once, we promise.
Yes, ma'am, Miranda.
There we go.
He's going to keep us on
I'm going to try to keep you in line. I'll try at least. We'll be right back. You're watching Newsmax now. And back for part two of our roundtable. Radio host and Newsmax contributor Larry Elder and talk show host and political commentator Lisa Durden. We do have other issues that we want to get to. So real briefly, we want to give you a chance to kind of wrap this up. We could go into the false narrative, what happened, what didn't. What matters is the perception out there is that things are not good.
Correct.
And that race relations need to improve in our country. Lisa, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to give you about 20 seconds to wrap up your thoughts. Where do we go from here?
Well, you wrapped it up for me. So we can throw statistics out there and we can start blaming people. The bottom line is race relations is a debacle in this country and it needs to change. No matter how much individuals want to say white folks get killed by white cops, we know all of that. But we still know that there's a disparity between white and black in this country, period.com.
And so the next leader needs to take a hard look at that, what you're saying.
That's
Larry,
what I'm trying to say. I'm looking out for that.
Your final thought on that.
Well, as long as facts don't matter, yeah, we're going to have a problem here, but facts ought to matter. 6,000 black people were killed by other black people last year. If Black Lives Matter, where's the March on Washington about that? A handful of cops every now and then will kill somebody. We ought to deal with that on a case-by-case basis and not act like there's some epidemic of white cops wiping out black people.
So
that's
white
ridiculous.
Cops get a
All right, we're going to leave it as that. Lisa, you had your chance.
Black people?
Lisa, you had your chance. I wanted Larry to be able to finish.
Folks killing blacks?
Lisa, you had your chance. I want to move on to our other topics. Larry, Lisa, thank you both. Larry, did I cut you off or did you get to say everything you wanted to say on that? Okay, we'll move on along. Want to talk about Hillary?
Sure.
You guys ready for that?
Yes,
A new Gallup poll finds Hillary Clinton may be courting the black vote. 80% of people have a favorable opinion of her. Only 23% have a favorable opinion of Bernie Sanders. Why the difference? Let's start with you, Larry.
Well, 95% of black voters voted for Barack Obama, about the same number as voted for John Kerry. The Democrats have convinced black people that they're victims and that these people over there, the Tea Party, black Republicans, white Republicans, are victimizers. And we, by the way, are the saviors. So they have bamboozled blacks into pulling that lever for the Democratic Party, despite the fact that the policies of the Democratic Party have destroyed the black family, have undermined inner city schools. They don't give them vouchers. And as far as I'm concerned, most of the progressive policies have made things worse, not better.
All right, so who should they vote for?
They should vote for a Republican who's going to cut taxes in order to stimulate jobs the way Ronald Reagan did.
We've got 17 of them.
Vote for. I'm sorry?
Who's that Republican? We have 17 of them running.
You got a whole gaggle of them. Which one? There's a gaggle of them. Which one?
Anyone would be better than Hillary. Anyone would be better than Bernie Sanders. If that's good enough for you, that's good enough for me.
All right, Lisa, what about you?
Is it Colonel Sanders or Bernie Sanders? The one that make the chicken? Colonel Sanders?
No, but
well, this is the one who got interrupted over the weekend by Black Lives Matter activist Bernie Sanders. Now, Larry mentioned a good point.
And
Lisa, I want to ask you.
That's exactly how it should be.
I wanted to ask you something about Stephen A. Smith, the ESPN guy, commentator, who talked recently, and he mentioned that every black person should one time vote for Republicans because he says, just like Larry said, the Democratic Party believes they have the black vote all sewn up. The Republicans don't try to reach black voters because they think they've given up on them. Are black voters making a mistake by lining up automatically behind Hillary Clinton?
I agree. I've been on this program on many occasions, and I've said I'm not dogmatic about being a Democrat. In fact, I have voted Republican on a couple of occasions in my 25 years. And actually, I'm considering registering as an independent so I can just flow how I want to, because I want to vote person, not party. So just to let you know, I'm watching Hillary Clinton, too. She has to convince me she's the right gal for the job. I don't think blacks are lazy voters. That is now another racist thing. People think we go to the polls like sheep to slaughter and we just start voting for Democrats. That's not true. We're very well learned. We understand politics. We want
Lisa,
to know who is the right one for the job. We're not lazy voters. That's incorrect.
Nobody said you're lazy voters. Nobody
I don't
said
recall
that.
anybody having said that. 95% of black people voted for the Democratic Party. In 1964, Malcolm X criticized black people for voting 80% for the Democratic Party because he said they were pushing for a civil rights bill, didn't get it. Now, the number one reason that black people voted for Obama is the same reason that black people voted for Obama. They thought he was going to improve the economy. The black middle class is worse off. Black net worth is down. Black home ownership is down. Black equity is down. Black income is down. So what have you done for that 95% black vote? That's what I would ask.
Larry, I'll let men go first. Since you want to go first, you go first, Larry. I thought ladies were first.
Well, Larry already finished, Lisa. You interrupted him. Go ahead.
Okay, that's par for the course.
All right, let me ask you guys this real quickly, because you know Trump continues to lead in the polls.
Can I please say this? Democrats were not the only ones that voted for Barack Obama, thank you. A lot of Republicans jumped party to vote for him.
Guys, we're running out of time. Real quickly.
Voted for him.
Lisa, Larry, if Trump runs as an independent, will he get your vote? Lisa, if Trump runs as an independent, will he get your vote?
Who get my vote?
Trump. If he runs as an independent.
Oh, God, Donald Trump will only see me when he does The Apprentice.
All right, Larry Elder, Lisa Durden, thank you both for your time.
You're welcome.
We made it.
We got it over with.
We did. Coming up next, we hear it all the time, the battle over raising the minimum wage. But one man says the real solution isn't to raise it, but to get rid of it entirely. And could another bubble burst be looming? The new warning out today by the feds.